cheating.
Cheating.
A cheat sheet for you. Well,
I mean, I remembered it, but somebody messed it up.
PC.
And Heather has to have it for other people too.
I mean, if everybody went to high school in Texas, you should remember that.
I did not.
I played the high school in Texas when we didn't say it.
I did not, but I've said it enough times now.
I went to
Announcements for special recognition.
Yes, sir, we have a proclamation to give. If you want to step forward, I can read it. Susan, your presence is requested. So, proclamation by the mayor of the city of New Fairview, Texas, whereas the profession of municipal clerk is essential to the effective functioning of local government in Texas, ensuring transparency, accountability, and the smooth operation of municipal services. And whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Texas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality while serving as the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all other levels. And whereas the Texas municipal clerks serve as the official record keepers, managing vital documents, conducting municipal elections, providing legislative support, and ensuring compliance with laws and regulations in the cities across Texas. And whereas municipal clerks demonstrate exceptional dedication, professionalism, and integrity in their work, often going above and beyond to serve their communities and facilitate the effective governance of local governments. And whereas the Texas Municipal Clerks Association represents more than 1,100 municipal clerks who contribute significantly to the success and efficiency of local government throughout the state of Texas. And whereas Municipal Clerks Week provides an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the invaluable work of municipal clerks, acknowledging their vital contributions to public service, and highlight the important role that they play in day-to-day operations of our cities. And whereas it is fitting that we, the city of New Fairview, take this opportunity to honor and thank Susan Greenwood and Renee O'Neill for their ongoing dedication, knowledge, and tireless service. Now, therefore, I, John Taylor, Mayor, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd, 2026 as the 57th annual Municipal Clerks Week in the city of New Fairview, and encourage all our residents to recognize the important role of Susan Greenwood and Renee O'Neill in joining and celebrating their contributions to our community. And when it's whereof I hereby to set my hand and cause the official seal of the city of New Fairview, Texas, to be affixed this 4th day of May, 2026. Mayor John Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I have two items. The first item I want to take is just a little note of personal privilege. I want to thank the council for your prayers and for your concern during my surgery, my recovery. I will tell you, I've never felt more blessed in my life than the time that I've spent here in New Fairview. I had a lot of get well soon, a lot of people calling and checking on me. I really want to thank my staff, particularly the directors, Susan, Renee, and Joshua. They kept the city going. They left me alone to recover, and only when it was something that needed my attention did they actually contact me. So I'm very grateful to the fact that I work here with this community, and I just wanted to let you all know how much I'm grateful for your comments in my surgery. And hopefully I'm on the mend and the road to recovery. So I'm getting better and better each day. And then the second item is I want to remind you that we're going to be taking your your photos, on May the 12th, which is a Tuesday, because we're going to do it before the Parks and Rec Board meeting. So please come dressed professionally. So shine your shoes, comb your hair. We want to take your photos because, one, we want to put them up on the website. But if you walk into other city hall, you typically will see somewhere on the wall photos of the mayor and the council. And so we want to frame them and put them up here in the lobby so people will know who their representatives are, so they'll have your name on there. And what I'm used to doing is whenever you transition off the council, we give you your photo for you to take with you, so you'll now have this professional photo it starts with, making sure that you come prepared to take a photo, and has everybody had a chance to send some sort of vita or bio to Susan, because we want to put something on the website, okay?
I'll do it this week.
If you need help, she's got a great thing called Chat GPT. You can just send her a few things and she'll put something in, and like magic, it pops it out and it makes you sound smart, because she does that for me all the time when I need a letter. So, but do send something to Susan so that we go ahead and start putting up your bio, so we'll have that along with your photos. Okay? Yeah.
So the pictures are only from here up, so just
Yes.
stay warned.
I'm
I'm only gonna look decent for
That's right. You can wear your jammies underneath. Okay, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Public comment?
We have none.
We'll move right into consent agenda. All matters considered agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. An item can be removed from the consent agenda by the city administrator, mayor, or any member of the city council and will be considered after approval of the consent agenda. We have one item, approval of the city council meeting minutes from April 20th.
Did like that meeting.
Yes, we did.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So with that, we'll move into new business. Receive, consider, and act on a resolution 2026-05-03-151, awarding the roadway construction project of Graham Road to 3H Concrete for a total of $574,392.56 and establish a not to exceed contingency of $650,000.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I turn this over to our friends at Westwood, I do want to just take a moment to let you know, if you look on page 2, that second paragraph, it said that we posted notice on the Wise Messenger, April 2nd, April 9th, plus Riley sent it out to a lot of contacts that he has. We had 16 bidders on this project. 16. I have been in municipal government for 36 some odd years, 26 of those on the admin side. I've bid a lot of projects, I've been part of a lot of projects. I've never, ever had 16 bidders on any project. And I think that speaks volumes to a couple of things. One, the fact that Riley and his team do such a great job about putting together good specs for people to bid on. Two, the fact that we've established a pretty good network, I think, of getting people out there to know, who to send it to bid on our projects. And three, I'm thinking that part of it probably has to do with not just people being hungry for work, but the word's out there that we're easy to work with, we know what we're doing, and we pay our bills. And so those are all things that, bidders look at. So my hat's off to our friends at Westwood and the team that has put together all the information, because I can't even put into words 16 on a project this small still blows me away. It's not like this is a multi-million-dollar project like you would expect a lot of bidders on. So I think it's just, and as you're going to see, we ended up winning because we actually ended up getting in a bid a lot lower than we thought we were going to have to pay for this project. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick. With Westwood to go over Graham Road.
Mayor, council, thank you for your time tonight. I'll go ahead and get going. Like John said, I'm here to present the results of the bid opening for Graham Road. My name is Nick Lucia. I have presented before, and I'm excited to show you the results. John told you the number, how many we had bidding. It's a good thing. So just to recap, a little bit of overview. I'm going to go over the project again. I'm going to show the bid tabulations, give you an update on some conflicts we have with franchise utilities and where we are at there and the status, and then give you an update on the upcoming schedule. So a little bit of recap. Graham Road, in the CIP plan, we plan to be a main collector in the future. So what we want to do is right now there's about 800 feet of it that is concrete pavement. We're looking to pave the gonna be a full street rehabilitation. As I said before, we will have some culvert improvements, mainly driveway culverts. There's one crossing culvert just north where the hammerhead turnaround is. And then there to the right, you'll see the cross sections. This right here is the bid tabulation. Like John said, we had 16, and going from 500 all the way up to 1 million. And 3H Concrete there was the winner at 574,392. Franchise utilities. So we had some conflicts specifically with our proposed ditch. Encore, we have been in contact with them. They are planning to relocate the poles in mid-May. Nexus, which is a water line, they will be relocating following the power pole relocation. Brightspeed, which is the telephone line, that is an old telephone line that they are abandoning in place. And BKV Gas, currently they are reviewing the conflict. I don't anticipate there to be an issue, but you never know. So we hope to hear back from them here soon. And then just an update on the schedule. April 24th was when we opened the bid and received all bids. Today we are presenting to council. If council chooses to move forward with construction, we'll have a pre-con meeting at the end of May. 1st of June is when we anticipate all the utilities to be moved and prepared for construction. We look to mobilize in the middle of June with a final completion of the middle of October. And that's all I have for you today, and I'll open the floor for questions and discussion.
Do you remember off the top of your head what the estimate was that we came up
The SES was around 780.
I have it right here. It was,
That was 18.
I know we lose 7. I said
engineer's opinion of construction costs, $797,920. And we have earmarked for this project from the 2023 CO bonds that were issued, $729,600. So we have more than enough money to be able to cover this project. And some left over for other street projects.
Any idea why they were so cheap?
I have
the bids?
I mean, not that
The bids in total or this bidder?
I'm this bidder.
This bidder is the one that's currently doing the work on Pioneer Road, and at the end of the project, he let me know that he had about $50,000-$60,000 savings because all of his machinery he's going to use on Green Road is working on Pioneer right now.
So you still got those in
That's
project.
also that's how when you see good pricing, it's because the contractors are close.
So then we win.
Especially with the cost of gasoline or diesel right now, having things just right next to each other and being able to pass them back and forth between the two projects.
That answered my question, because I was gonna ask for work before, so.
Yes, ma'am, they've done work up in,
I knew
Choose
we
the
had
best.
worked with them before.
yeah, they did work, they're the ones that did the initial work on Pioneer Road at Apron, remember? And.
That's just a lot less. Like, the highest one is over $1 million. So I'm like, you could do it for literally half, like that's.
Yeah, that's what you.
Well, it's also,
Yeah, well, the reason we got in touch with this contractor is he's the one that did the first part of Green Road. That's how we met him, is we were impressed with how he did that work, and we asked him to.
yeah, he was actually contracted by the cement company, if you remember, that was a chapter 380 agreement, so they're the ones that paid for it, and they contracted with Joe. So Joe already knows the challenges of Grand Road, so like I said, he had a lot of inside information that some of these guys did not, number one. Number two,
I mean,
Joe's the type of guy who, he's not really doing a lot of this for profit, because he owns like 4 or 5 different businesses. He just wants to stay busy, he wants to keep his guys working, so he's told that to Riley as well.
John, he also does the slate, the Santa slates.
Yeah, he's also the gentleman that came out here and did that Santa sleigh this Christmas, and remember they brought the gifts up here to Chisholm Hills? That's a nonprofit that he runs on the side, one of 3, because he also does like a fishing excursion for kids, and just a good all-around good guy. And so, I'm glad that.
I'm just making sure it wasn't lowball.
No, trust me, we would not bring someone here that we would not be recommending to you guys, even if they were the lowest one, we would tell you some concerns.
I got you.
But we don't have any concerns with this bidder at all.
Very good.
So when they say that the telephone lines are being abandoned in place, does that mean that there's gonna be things that we need to remove?
No, there's, right now, they've checked and they have no customers on that line, and it's,
said, I'm just,
Yeah, I think if we go back, as John was mentioning, I think that there are some contractors that are quite hungry, but if our engineer's opinion was 797, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so we had about half the contractors come in less than what, you know,
And I ran,
average cost is.
and I ran the average number, and it came in at like 803,000.
It's, yeah.
yeah, I still don't, I mean, I know I'm the minority in this one, but I still don't feel like this is something that we need at this point, but I'm really happy the price came down so much from what we were thinking it was gonna be, but, I still think this Grant Road is not very heavily used, and I don't think it's going to be for a long time, and I think we're going to be doing this and not getting a lot of return out of it.
This was in the bond package, we said we were gonna do it, and I think it needs to be done. And now the city is requiring all developers to only use concrete, no more asphalt in the city, so it's probably something we need to start where we can in the future also.
I say we should do it with that price the way it is, because if we wait a year, it may not be that good anyway.
Definitely won't be that.
I move to approve a resolution 2026-05-03-151, awarding the roadway reconstruction project for Graham Road to 3H Concrete Incorporated for a total of $574,392.56, and establish a not to exceed project contingency of $650,000.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
John, is there anything else you need from us?
Please
John.
We'll see you tomorrow.
There you go. Thank you all.
receive and consider an act on appointing and removing removing members of the Parks Recreation Board and the Keep New Fairview Beautiful Committee.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll take this item. Mayor and Council, the appointments to the Parks Board and also subsequently Keeping Fairview Beautiful Committee are for 2-year terms. We have 3 of those positions that are up to expire in June of 2026. That is place 1, which is currently held by Thomas McClary. Place 3, which is Christine Waldy, and the alternate position, which is David Klein. We reached out to those 3 members, and both Mr. Klein and Mr. McClary stated that they are interested in being reappointed to the board. Unfortunately, Ms. Waldy is not wanting to be reappointed because her and her husband will be moving out of the city sometime later this year, and she didn't want to start something that she could not finish. However, we did receive an application from Mr. Dev Zacharias, which, did you give him a copy of this? Okay, so you should have the application from Dev Zacharias. If the name sounds familiar, it's because Mr. Zacharias was already serving on the Parks Board and Planning and Zoning until a few months back when he notified us that he had bought a house in Bridgeport and him and his wife were moving. Unfortunately, that sale ended up falling through, so they stayed at their home here in New Fairview, and he contacted us saying that he was interested in going back on the Parks Board or Planning and Zoning if the opportunity came up. So I reached out to him last week, and he said, yes, do let the council know I'm interested in serving on the Parks Board again. So you have place 3 that's open, where you can either assign Mr. Klein, who currently is in the alternate position, up to place 3, and then Mr. Dev Zacharias is the alternate, or Klein as the alternate if you so desire. And as I mentioned, Mr. McCarty said he's interested in being on the board again as well.
I think we should make Klein place 3 and put Devin as alternates.
I agree.
I would agree with that.
I do too. But I know Christine Wally is not, but any attendance issues or, been regular meetings made and everything.
No, and she's gonna be a big loss to us because she's a very active member, she always comes prepared, she has great ideas, and of course, her husband is on planning and zoning.
Right, no, I didn't meet with her, I met with the one that's wanted to stay on, he's been a regular attending meetings and everything.
So yes, Mr. McCarty had some issues related to work scheduling, but we have moved the meeting time, start time back to 6:30, and so he's able to start making those meetings, more regularly. And Mr. Klein just got appointed last month, I think, so.
He was at the
Yeah,
last meeting.
but he was at the last one, and he seems very eager to continue to serve, so, yeah, however you wanna do it. So if you wanna just put that into a motion, you can certainly vote on that.
Okay, I move to approve the appointment of David Klein to the Parks and Recreation Board to keep New Fairview Beautiful Committee to the 3rd position.
Okay, and then place one, you want,
Thomas, place 1 would be Thomas McCarthy, and place alternate would be Devin
Zacharias. Okay.
I thought application was his last name, I was very
I'll
confused.
second. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, thank you, Council.
C, receive, consider, and act on a proposal by Boyd, Gossett, Rochelle, and Townsend, PC law firm to represent the city as legal counsel on water and wastewater utility matters.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So, you have in your packet the supplement to the engagement letter, and I believe you actually have the resolution that contains the engagement letter as well, that we initially signed with Lloyd Dawson. If you recall, the city of New Fairview was asked to step up by the Wise County Mayor's Coalition and be the entity that would contract with Lloyd Gosling to help the Wise County Mayor's Coalition when they were first trying to form the Wise Water District through the Texas legislature. And then when that fell through, they started working with Lloyd Gosling on our Plan B, which was to create the West Fork PUA, and they helped us do that. And then most recently now, Lloyd Gosling at the last meeting just got awarded the contract to become the legal counsel for the West Fork PUA board. So, Lloyd Gosling is very much embedded right now with our water situations here in Wise County. They are a premier law firm when it relates to utilities, particularly water, wastewater. I don't know if you all recall, but we are also a member of that Atmos City Steering Committee. Remember, I bring to you usually in August, I bring to you the new rates that have been negotiated for the Atmos cities with Atmos. It's a much lower rate than other cities that are not part of that group. Well, Lloyd Gosling is the firm that is contracted by the Atmos cities to negotiate all that for us. So it's actually Thomas Mercado, one of the attorneys I've known for a long time, that has been doing that. Again, it goes to show you the credibility of this law firm. I'm asking you all to consider appointing Lloyd Gosling as the legal counsel for the city as it relates to our utilities right now, water and wastewater, that is, because we're needing to start negotiations with Lennar Homes as it relates to the water wells that we'll be taking over, the water system that we're going to take over, the wastewater operations that we're going to take over. As it relates to the water and wastewater, we're going to eventually take over for Constellation Lake, which is Bluefield Homes. And as it relates to any water agreements that we enter into with either the City of Justin or Upper Trinity to get water from them for Constellation Lake and for Ranchland, or anything that we negotiate with the West Fork PUA to try and get water up on the west side of our community. So we're dipping our toe into the water business and eventually wastewater, and we need a lot of help. And I can't think of any better than Lloyd Gosling to be our legal counsel to help us with these negotiations and these contracts. I did have a conversation with our city attorney, with Robin Cross, and Messer Ford is not opposed to this. Messer Ford knows the reputation of Lloyd Gosling, and they know I'm EPC filings, any TCEQ, anything having to do with water, wastewater, we'll be looking at Lloyd Gosling's leadership on that. If it's anything else, it's going to be Messer Ford and it's going to be Robert Cross. It is not an uncommon practice for cities to contract with one law firm to be their general government counsel law firm, and then another law firm to be their utilities. And in fact, Justin, next door to us, has one law firm that does general government, and Lloyd Gossett does their utilities work for them. So we're just following a practice that I think is a good practice that cities have of going with the best to help us make sure we are protecting our interests as it relates to water, wastewater. So with that, I stand for any questions.
Not that I disagree, but is that something Messerport even has the ability to do if they have a wastewater?
I bet if you push came to shove, they would be able to find some way to provide that, but that's not
Not what they do.
in their wheelhouse like it is for Lloyd Gossett.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing, I was curious.
So if this particular, firm is already contracted with other entities, there's not a conflict of interest as far as that.
Right. So if there turns out to be a conflict of interest, they notify us and that other entity, and sometimes they'll end up having to exclude themselves. But if you're both contacting, like for example, in the case of the city of Justin, I've been talking to the city manager of Justin, and he knows that I'm doing this, and he is on board. In fact, him and I are having a conference call later this week with the attorney Lauren from Lloyd Gosling, because I've asked her a very specific question. The city manager of Justin and I have come up with a plan B on how we might be able to bring water into New Fairview. And let's just say it's kind of in the gray area of the contract that the city of Justin has with the Terry Regional Water Board, or Terry Regional Water District. But we both think that it can be done. And so we've asked her to look at it, and preliminary indications that she thinks it can be done. So we're just trying to figure out. So we will actually be contracting with Lloyd Gosling to help us, and in fact, the attorney, Jim Boyle Law Firm is the general attorney for the city of Justin. He's going to recuse himself from that because he also happens to be the legal counsel for Upper Trinity Regional Water District, a much bigger client than the city of Justin. So yes, there'll be times that there may be conflict, but there'll be times that it's actually going to benefit us. Like right now, it benefits us that the city of Justin and city of Fairview use the same engineering firm, Westwood, because Riley knows our systems in and out and challenges. Chris Shaw knows Justin's water, wastewater system in and out and challenges, and they work together in the same office, so they know what's needed and are able to get right to what we're needing done without a lot of wasteful research and cost. Did I answer your question?
Well, they've addressed in here how they will handle conflicts of interest as well.
Right, yes, sir. Yeah.
In working with the PUA, there's only two really law firms for utilities in Texas. They're one of the two. I wouldn't hesitate to do anything else other than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just glad they're willing to contract with us because it's kind of a small feature of Lloyd Gosling. But I think Lauren understands our potential, especially since she's been working with us on the West Fork PUA, and she sees, plus, she sees the potential between us and Justin as well. So, yeah, I'm grateful when she said, I'll send you an engagement letter.
Any other questions? No, it's gonna have a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the supplement to the engagement letter by the Lloyd Gosling, Rochelle, and Townsend PC Law Firm to represent the city as legal counsel on water and water waste utility matters, and authorizing the city administrator to execute all necessary documents.
Motion got a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That's, move to D, receive, consider, and act on a proposal from Advanced Selections for a joint regional development and integrity study with the city of Justin.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this, and Mayor Council, I want you to be aware that I've invited the fire chiefs from both New Fairview Fire Rescue and Justin Kebby Volunteer Fire Department. I see Chief Cordero, Wingate, there he is, the ugly guy, Matthew Mitchell, and is that Turner? Thank you, Chief Turner. So you've got the leadership of the both fire departments here, because I think that, that they will, chime in with what I'm telling you here tonight, and that is, New Fairview is at a point right now where we need to start planning for our fire service into the near future. Because at the rate that we're growing, we are going to need to probably start addressing our fire service needs before we even start looking at addressing our long-term law enforcement needs. We're fortunate that we are probably going to be able to enter into some other interlocal agreements with other cities for law enforcement right now. So that helps us keep that going for a bit of time. But we have some things that we're going to need to start looking at as it relates to our fire services, particularly towards the eastern side of our city as we continue to grow on the Denton County side of our city and even near the Denton County side, with now Settlers Glen getting ready to start phase 2 of their development. And as you know, Ranchland is already turning dirt, doing clearing and grading for phase 1. And remember, just between phase 1A and phase 1B, add those to get the preliminary class for those two, we're looking at just under 500 homes just for those two sections. And that's just a small piece of that 1,800 acre development. As soon as I'm able to work out the water issue, either getting it from the city of Justin or getting it from Upper Trinity Regional Water District, which is going to include an elevated storage tank, i.e. water tower, that's going to need to be built at the corner of FM 407 and South Caroline Road on the Constellation Lake property, which they're willing to give us the land to do that. That's going to be able to provide us the water, pressurized water, that we're going to be needing to go ahead and keep that Lennar development, Ranchland, continue to move forward, but now also allow Constellation Lake to start with their development. And then eventually, remember, there's right now plans to have a middle school and an elementary school built on the Constellation Lake subdivision and 2 elementary schools in the Ranchland subdivision, including a downtown with commercial development and a Grand Central Park, a new city hall, a new fire station, which I'm trying to get out of the downtown area, as well as a library. So there's a lot already that has been, plans are in motion, and all it takes is the water issue being addressed, and we're going to have a lot more growth than we're already seeing now. As you know, both fire departments during this last discussion with you this last summer came and asked for you all to help out with some equipment purchases because they're growing and they're planning and meeting their needs. So Justin is in the process of getting themselves a ladder truck, and New Fairview Fire Rescue just got themselves a newer engine that they're going to be using. So now they're actually going to have 2 engines as part of their fleet, along with their brush trucks and their command vehicles. So we currently have, as you know, we use New Fairview Fire Rescue that deploys out of our multi-purpose building here, but they're not able to operate 24/7 because we're using that facility for EMS. I'm hoping that I'll eventually be able to talk Wise County into building a true EMS substation somewhere here on our municipal complex so we can move EMS out of the multi-purpose building, and now that frees up space for at least New Fairview Fire Rescue to be able to move in and start operating 24/7 out of there for their firefighting services. We also have that contract with Justin Fire Department to be able to provide fire service for the Denton County side of our city, but also to provide EMS service for the Denton County side of our city. So unlike here, where Wise County provides EMS, that's not what we get over on the Denton County side. Our EMS comes from Justin Fire Department. So we need to start doing a study. The study's going to include things like how are we seeing our calls right now? Where are some hot spots that we are having to answer calls? Where are there going to be future hot spots, i.e., where are you going to have apartment complexes? Where are you going to have a concentration of industrial commercial zones with possible fire hazard? The study is also going to look at not just looking at the New Fairview Fire Rescue and the Justin Fire Department as a combined regional approach to providing fire service for us, but it's also going to analyze New Fairview Fire Rescue as a standalone and Justin as a standalone. But what I'm also interested in is also going to look and help us try and determine where does it make sense for us to build a fire station to address our future needs. I can tell you one place where I know it does not make sense, and that is where currently is planned is in this downtown area of the ranchland development, because that was what was negotiated before I even got here between the city and the developer at the time, which was Rock Hill Development, that they're going to build a downtown, and in that downtown they're going to give the city land and money to build a new city hall and a library, and they're also going to give money and land for us to build a fire station. You do not want to build a fire station in a downtown area, first of all. Secondly, it's so far up in that subdivision that just the response time to get them to 407 makes no sense whatsoever. There's a potential for all kinds of accidents. We really, I think, need to have our fire station located closer to 407. Where, on which side of the county line, that's hopefully what this study is going to help us understand, particularly because it's looking not just at our needs, but it's also looking at the needs of the city of Justin, because this is a study that's being done jointly between the city of Justin and city of New Fairview. And as you all know, Justin is building their second fire station further west than their downtown area, right on 407, where it should be. And so we're trying to determine where does it make sense for us to build our fire station, and hopefully that fire station will be some sort of joint use facility, so we'll be able to run for both the Denton County and the Wise County side of our city for a fire call or an EMS call, or if it's on the Wise County side, we'll hopefully have a standalone EMS station here already at this municipal complex now. This study is going to help us determine what also makes sense for us, and I'm wanting them to look at the pros and cons. For example, do we absorb New Fairview Fire Rescue as our fire department, kind of like Justin is doing right now? They have a 10-year plan where the city is slowly absorbing the Justin Community Volunteer Fire Department to become the Justin Fire Department, a city department, just like the police department, public works, you name it. So at some point, we're probably going to need to have our own fire department, a city department. But does it make sense for us to absorb New Fairview Fire Rescue? There's pros to that, in that we have folks that already know our community, they've got equipment, they've got training. One of the big cons, though, is what can happen to us is what's happening right now to Rome, in where basically the residents of Rome are subsidizing the fire service coverage that the non-residents of Rome are getting, because they're still having to provide service out in unincorporated county land. The fire district for New Fairview Fire Rescue, and I've gone over this with the chiefs, is quite large, and it's actually larger than our St. Levis. So they actually are responsible for a much larger area than the city. Now, call volume, as we're growing, the call volume is shifting to where they're answering. You see this from the reports that they send. I think you just sent us a quarterly one, did you not? Yes. So you start to see they keep track of how many calls were mutual aid, how many calls were in the county, how many calls were in the city. So you're starting to see that more and more they're increasing the number of calls they're having in the city, because our population numbers are outnumbering what's out in the county. But if we end up absorbing New Fairview Fire Rescue, we're going to be on the hook for whatever the rest of their service area is. And so that means that our taxpayers here that are paying for a qualified fire department, we're also going to be providing that same service to the unincorporated county land that they're still responsible for if we take over their operation. So that's one thing I want them to look at. I also want to look at is, well, if we don't do that and we decide, okay, well, we're just going to start up our own fire department, what's that going to look like? Well, I can tell you the price tag is going to be astronomical, because just trying to buy an engine fully equipped, we're looking at what, 1.6 million? Something like that? And that's just one engine. That's no command vehicles. That's that's no brush truck. And then that's not even talking about personnel, that's not talking about, gear, that's not talking about training, none of that. So, there's gonna be a big price tag if we just wanna go out alone and try and do our own fire department and start from scratch. Or do we wanna contract with another city, like I had when I was over in the Lake Cities area, when I was the city manager of Lake Dallas, the city of Lake Dallas, the city of Hickory Creek, and the city of Shady Shores contracted with the city of Corinth for fire EMS service. The city of Lake Dallas and the city of Shady Shores each built a fire station in their city, and then they turned around and leased that to Corinth to be able to run the fire EMS out of there. So it was kind of a tenant lease agreement between the two cities. But then there was also the service agreement. And so what would that look like? What would that cost us? So there's a lot that we need to start looking and preparing for, and we need to start doing it now because it's going to be here before we know it. My hope is that we will be able to take this study and we will be able to generate, based on your input, which is the path you want us to start working towards, so we can put together a long-range plan, a 10-year plan, to start working towards getting us there, and then we'll have some metrics saying, okay, when we finally meet this population level, or we have this many homes, or apartments, or commercial square footage, or whatever the case might be, when we meet some trigger points, we'll know that our plan is going to call for us to do X, Y, Z, and more or less what that price point is going to look like. So this way, we have a plan that we will be working as opposed to reacting to the fact that, oh, now we've got this growth and we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. So that's one of the things that I'll be discussing with you when we finally have our strategic planning retreat is I'm looking at a long-range plan for fire, a long-range plan for law enforcement, and then a long-range plan for utilities, water, wastewater. And I'd like for you all to adopt those plans because it makes it a lot easier for us to work a plan if we already have a plan thought. You can always change the plan, don't get me wrong. Just because you adopt the plan today doesn't mean we can't change it. But at least we have a plan that we're following because budgetary-wise, it's going to help us understand where should we be spending our money and focusing on and getting ready for that next trigger point. Okay? Now, I've said enough. I want to turn it over to any of the chiefs that would like to make any comment about any fire study that you participated in, or I've given you all the fire study, so you've had a chance to look at it. Any comments you've got regarding that? Anybody want to go first? Chief, you'll just state your name and address, please, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Matthew Mitchell, Fire Chief, Justin Fire Department, 11,000 Eaton Cemetery, Justin, Texas, 76247. First off, thoughts and prayers go out for your loss. Let us know if there's anything any one of our departments can do. We'll be glad to help you. A little backstory behind how all of this really started. I went to before the council before the fiscal year 22-23 for City of Justin, and I asked for a lot of paid personnel. I got a lot of kickback, and frankly, I had a mayor at that point in time who thought that we were just spending money, and it was crazy that we needed to request what we requested. And they said, well, we approved, they denied the personnel, they approved $75,000 for a needs assessment study. Well, we rock and roll along, and somehow we got in connection with Charlie Kerner's FGMA Architects, and at that point in time, Jim and Advanced, what is the new name? Advanced Technology? Advanced Solutions. They were part of FGMA. These guys were from Illinois, Indiana area, and if anybody has met my father, like several of y'all had, at that one time it was presented that we were going to have some Yankees come down and tell us Texas boys how to run our fire department. And I will tell you, we accepted it with those open arms, and it has been one of the best things that has propelled our fire department the last 3 to 4 years. These guys came in, and they were kind of shocked or blindsided by how we operate because they're used to lots of people, lots of mutual aid, fire stations in every town or township or communities, and they help each other. And they were surprised that Justin Fire Department covers 77 square miles and that the closest mutual aid was 20, 25 minutes away. But by the end of the 23rd day of the assessment. They were eating breakfast with Bill Mitchell, and we still get phone calls. Fast forward to this past year, as y'all seen presentations from Denton County about their new emergency response zones and stuff like that, and it just, a lot of us don't agree with that totally, and agree with their methods. So I was talking to John, I was talking to Jared, city manager, her boss.
You just got him in trouble, didn't you?
And we were brainstorming, and I said, what about, I feel like it's time for us to update our needs assessment study. Because we've increased our staffing levels. We're adding Station 2. One of the things that came from this initial study is where we thought downtown was going to be, or the new town center area there behind Subway and Sonic and all that. We thought that's where it needed to be. Well, realistically, one of the things that we learned from Jim and them was to do a heat map. Throw all your call volume into a program, and it shows you where a heat map to where your call for service is. Well, we need to be this way, and Station 1 needs to be relocated to the north. That's just what Jared and I did on our own a year and a half ago. So I recontacted Charlie, we got a hold of Jim, who is now Advanced Solutions or whatever, and they're like, yes. And then I called John one night pretty late. I think I woke him up. It was like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I said, would you like to participate in the meeting? And he said, absolutely. And it was just one of those, it's how can both communities work together and see how we can help each other and just deliver that service delivery across the board. So, you got a lot of good things going here. New Fairview Fire Rescue's got a lot of good things going, and they got some new vibe and some new blood and some new hard work ethics and stuff and some new equipment, and they're changing a lot of things. We're growing and we're coming this way with infrastructure. So I know you look at it and you think, God, it's $70,000. That's a lot of money, right? And I haggled with them on that some, got a little bit of discount on it, and then I got them to break it up into two fiscal year budgets, so that way we can do half now and then half after October 1. So we have come up with the money on the Justin side for our part of it, between some TIFMAS deployment money and some other things, some other cost savings and stuff. But we feel like it'd be a great roadmap to build on that's already existing and then include y'all in it. So.
Thank you, Chief. Question? Okay, thank you, Chief.
I had a question.
Oh, yes.
Give me a break, response. So you said you just had one done a year and a half ago?
So it started in 22 and it was published in 23. So that's 3 years
Is
ago.
that 3 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So but you created your 10-year plan off of that one?
That started our 10-year what we call the 10-year transition plan in the MOU between the Justin Community Volunteer Fire Department Board of Directors and the City of Justin. That document from FGMA Architects at the time, the needs assessment study, that was what propelled that, and it actually helped get our board of directors open eyes and open-minded to do this transition. So
So do you feel like this is going to be like an every 2-year kind of?
No,
No?
no, ma'am.
I think that's going to be growth dependent, ma'am. I think there's going to be benchmarks. That we're going to,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that think, ooh, maybe we need to do that. But there's also little things, and I promise you, like, if we can assign somebody from New Fairview Fire Rescue to them, and all you do is provide reports and answer questions and stuff like that, and then they'll also work with them and work with us and all the parties, and we will learn stuff that we can do that hopefully make it where we don't need to have another one for 5 years. But if we have 8 MUDs or 8 big subdivisions come between us in the next 3 years, then we might need to do that again. It's all need dependent, and unfortunately, the growth is driving that, and it's changed drastically, as you very well know.
Perfect, thank you.
Chief, just out of curiosity, how many paid employees, part-time, full-time now is the city of Justin actually paying?
So we started 2 weeks ago, is that right, Chief? 2 actually it started a month ago, but the first 2 weeks we created what's called an MDOT program to where they were on days 8 to 5 and they review everything of how the Justin Fire Department works. And we're building that for the onboarding of Station 2, or say we bring in 15 guys that have never worked for the Justin Fire Department. The 3 guys that we just added full-time a month ago, those have all been working for us part-time or volunteer or something for us. So they went through that, they helped build that MDOT program for 2 weeks, and then they started on shift. Now we're at 9 a day. That's 4 full-time positions, 5 part-time positions, plus a chief officer 24/7.
That's how many personnel you have on any given day typically to respond to fire EMS, correct?
The staffing model now is both ambulance staff with 2, so there's 4, engine company staff with 3, one of those is an officer, and then the other 2 are either on, we had one of our engines get hit on 156 a couple weeks ago, so we've added a apparatus as a blocking apparatus, so anything on Highway 114, anything on 156 now gets a blocker. So those extra 2 guys are kind of our swing. They might jump on the blocker, or they might jump on the second engine, or whatever the case may be. So that's our staffing for now, is 9 a day. Minimum staffing, so if we have call-outs, no-shows, sick, whatever, we hire back overtime to 7 personnel. So we'll get that minimum 2 ambulances and 1 engine company staff is our minimum.
Thank you.
And we did get a ladder truck purchased. It is being delivered tomorrow, so once we get it in service and stuff, we'll bring that to the council meeting, because that is a project that y'all helped us with.
Great, thank you, congratulations. Chief, did you have anything you want to add?
No, so you covered.
Okay.
I'll add
Okay, go ahead, Chief.
Can I say my name and address?
Yeah, name and address, please.
Chris Wingate, Assistant Chief of New Fairview Fire Rescue, 112 Old Chisholm Trail, Rome, Texas. I wanted to let Chief Mitchell go first, as he's already been a part of a couple of these studies and everything. This is the first one that we have the opportunity to be a part of, and we're actually grateful that they asked to be a part of it. We kind of can see what our growth is and what we need, but there's no data to actually back that growth and everything. It's more of like what he said, is it feels like we're just coming and asking for money all the time. Hey, we need this, we need that. But what shows that you need that? So these studies will actually go back through all of the data and prove that, hey, this on these calls and everything, it could have benefited you here to have this here, or have this station put here and stuff like that. It's kind of like how John said too, we cover a big portion of the county and everything as well. There is some funding from the county, but maybe not to the point that it should be in aspects. And one of the hopes with this study as well is I think it's going to kind of talk and pull what's county, what's city, so that maybe we can go to the county as well and be like, hey, we cover a big portion of the county. This is what the needs assessment shows in the county. Is there any other departments that are kind of doing anything like this to try and get them on board of another one to hopefully maybe model the Denton County side for what they're paying on the county aspect. The other thing with that is all of our apparatus is becoming dated and everything. We're buying new ones as we get the money and as you guys help us out with one and stuff like that. But we need to see where those apparatus are. What is the next apparatus that needs to be purchased? Not which one is it based off of the way that equipment is right now, but what is the needs assessment show that we need? Do we need another engine? Do we need a ladder truck? Do we need another tender? What is it that we need? That study is going to help with that. It's going to help to show response times and what we can do to improve those response times, which hopefully as well will help to improve ISO rating. So that's your insurance rating, and that helps to lower all of the taxpayers' home insurance rates. I think right now we're at 9, and there's ways that we can drop that down and everything, but a needs assessment is a big one in order to get in there to figure out, okay, this is what we can do in order to bring that ISO rating down. That's pretty much all I have on that aspect of things. We're going to kind of tie in what Mitchell said. Well, no, they're in the ladder truck, we got the engine. So we actually purchased one of the old fire engines from Justin. That was the way to put the money that you guys gave us to the best use and to go the furthest with it and all that. It came, for the most part, pretty well equipped from the city of Justin, which we're thankful for. Because as they said, 1.6, that's a big number to try and put out there. And even
And you're gonna be stationed here?
Yes, sir, it'll be out of this station here.
And then you're gonna rehab your other one, hopefully, to.
The other one's kind of already, that rehab, we're hoping to wait for, kind of didn't give us the option to wait on it. And
Oh, okay.
decided to show its face a little bit early. And so that's why y'all saw the Simpson Fire Fleet trailer out in the parking lot for multiple days. Is that pump was getting pretty good work on it, and all the plumbing and everything going into the pump, they had to do a lot of work on that. While we were down the engine, I did let Chief Turner and Chief Mitchell know, and hey, we don't have a working engine right now. That's one of the cons to only having one engine, is when it goes down, you're putting a whole community without something for a structure fire. So I let them know and everything, and they were gracious enough to, some of the times the engine was over here, other times it was there, but they were ready to quickly respond to us and everything. The relationship that we have with them is light years compared to what it used to be, and we're grateful for that. Is there any questions or anything that I can help answer on anything? Once again, I'm sorry for your loss as well. Let us know if you need anything from us as well. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief, appreciate it. So, Mayor and Council, you've heard from the two fire departments, you've heard from me. Do you have any questions of me as in regards to why we want to be part of this study with the city of Justin? If you look at the finances, we are going to be responsible for 50% of the cost, which translates into $34,920. But as you heard Chief Mitchell, he was able to talk the consultants into letting us pay for half of it this fiscal year, the other half next fiscal year. So $17,460 is what we'll be paying this fiscal year. I'm going to have that savings alone in what we should have been paying the city of Boyd for law enforcement that we're not getting from them very much anymore. So I'm not going to have to move any money around. I've already got it in the budget. So.
I have a question actually, so.
Yes, sir.
When you explain that this is kind of something that, City of Justin used and that we can use kind of to review our fire coverage and kind of look where we need to, how we need to proceed going forward. But I guess I'm a little confused by the description that was given. Is this for the city for the future planning of fire protection, or is this for the fire department to kind of look and see what their needs are right now?
I think it's all of the above, is it not? Yes. What are your needs right now? But it also is it's supposed to be a long-term document to show how, what are your needs going to be and how are you going to get there to meet them?
Right.
That's the part I'm really interested in, and that's why I'm needing a lot of support from New Fairview Fire Rescue to give the data to the consultants, because they're going to put it into those models that they'll then start to generate to show us as you grow, as all of a sudden now you've got a major subdivision called Settlers Glen here, and now all of a sudden you got Paloma Ranch, phase 3, and now phase 4 that have been built out, and now all of a sudden you've got a big section of ranchland and soon Constellation Lake. What is that service level supposed to look like? What kind of engines are you going to need? It's one of the things that, and I think one of the chiefs said it, is it helps you identify equipment. For example, we don't have any 3-story apartments yet in our city, right? But they are allowed, because they are planned in both Constellation Lake and in Ranchland. We are allowing 3-story apartment complexes. New Fairview Fire Rescue does not have the ability to fight a 3-story structure. Justin will when they've got their ladder truck. And again, luckily we've got a good working relationship with Mutual Aid. But that's just one example. So what is it that it'll help New Fairview Fire Rescue understand?
I understand that. I was just trying to make sure I understood what this is for, because, it's not, it's a pretty significant amount of money investment into this, and I just want to make sure this is something that we're going to use to benefit the city, I guess is what I'm trying to do.
Yes, sir. So again, I'm making sure that the consultant is going to be, as I said, addressing what are those trigger points that we as a city need to be looking at. When you get to this threshold, whatever it is, certain population, certain rooftops, certain type of development, 3-story apartments, or certain number of square footage of commercial or manufacturing industrial. There are trigger points there. Should we already have a quint? Should we be running, a minimum of 4? You just heard the Chief from Justice say they've got a staffing minimum of 9, right? At some point here, we're going to need to reach a staffing minimum of something. And I'm not sure what that
don't disagree with you. No, I agree with you 100% with that. But my point was, is like, is this something that they're, you know, that I don't want this to come across the wrong way because I don't mean it to be that way. But there's a benefit for us, and now outside of fire protection, this is something that benefits us in the long term. This isn't something that we're paying for just for the benefit of the fire department. This is going to benefit us in the long run. It's going to provide benefit to the city.
Yeah, it's gonna provide benefit to the city because it's gonna help us plan. Okay, but it's gonna help you as a council help me plan, because as I told you earlier, we've got different directions we can head here, and I don't know where you want to go. But we need to start planning a direction, because it's gonna be here pretty soon, especially once this spigot of water opens up, right? And so as I lay out 3 different scenarios to you, are we gonna absorb New Fairview Fire Rescue? Are we gonna try and start our own standalone fire department? Or are we gonna wanna contract with another city to cover our fire needs as well? They each come with pros and cons, they each come with their own individual costs, and I'm hoping that the consultant will have in their study that information that I'm gonna be able to bring to you all, so that you can start to make a determination for the benefit of the city. Hey, we think that this is the route we wanna start to take. Okay, now I've got a plan, I've got direction from council, you've done your job. Now my job is to work with the fire departments to figure out, for the next 3 years, the plan said we should be ready for X, Y, Z. What do we need to start looking at as far as funding goes to get to year 3, so that we're ready, so we're not caught by surprise for the plan? If at some point then the council decides, no, we don't like that plan, we want to change the plan, we bring the plan out and talk about it. So I still think, yes, sir, there's going to be direct benefit to the city. It's definitely going to benefit the fire departments, but in turn it's going to benefit us for planning purposes. Yes, sir. Sorry, the chief, I think, wants to chime in.
There's no, the ISO rating, we're years and years away from that.
We're a little bit away from getting it lower.
I know we mentioned the ISO rating, but that's not realistic.
What is your
There's no
ISO
way we're gonna lower that for one.
Ours is a 4 in Justin and an 8B in the county.
So is that your ISO rating for Justin?
Yeah, they got a 4. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Probably a 9.
I mean, our infrastructure here isn't near what Justin has, so there's no way our ISO rating is gonna improve anytime soon.
I'm sorry, chief, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just gonna hit on that question that you just asked. That was actually asked by 2 of our board of directors whenever we started this back in 22. Is why do we need that? And that's a whole lot of money to spend. And at that point in time, that assessment only cost us, I think, $12,000. But they do take everything into effect. You know, because the report came out that Justin needed 5 personnel at Station 1 and 5 personnel at Station 2, and then they needed it at Station 3 in the next year. Well, then the council was like, oh my God, y'all just skewed the numbers and got the report to get y'all more firemen. And then their immediate response was, well, hold on, because we think of the city on the city's behalf as well. They take NFPA recommendations, they take the ISO considerations, and basically they said in the report and the presentation, they're like, y'all are out. At that point in time, Justin was responding out of one station, we still are, with only 3 dudes, and you guys can see that response time from 1 way to 1 call. Who's involved? The fire department and then the city, you know? So they take everything into consideration and to try to benefit. I mean, the ISO will help you tremendously, right?
It will, yes.
It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen sooner than you think. There's a lot of apparatus that you get from over there and other surrounding areas, especially like, say, you have a ladder truck with us, you have a ladder truck in Decatur, you have a ladder truck in Newark, and I think Rome has one. I mean, those are going to help your ISO. Things will benefit the ISO more than you think, because the new ISO is not like the old ISO. The old ISO program, they were coming out and they tried their best to fail you and to make your ISO high. The guys now are coming out and they're trying their best to make your ISO lower. Take into account when they did the City of Roanoke's ISO rating 2 years ago. They said, you don't have a reserve apparatus, a reserve engine? Chief Adams said, no, sir. He goes, I hear you're good friends with the Justin Fire Chief. Yes, sir, sign. That way you have a backup, a reserve engine from there. He can have a reserve engine from you. You both have a reserve engine, and it lowers your, it counts as points. I think 30 points towards your ISO. So
That's definitely not how it used to be.
exactly. So,
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. I 100% support the fire department, and I think as a city, we need to do everything we can to give, to help, because, like Steven said, this only benefits people that live in the city of Justin and New Fairview. So I'm not opposed to this. I just want to make sure I understood this correctly. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to talk bad about it. I 100% support this, and I definitely think we need to do this. I just wanted to make sure I understood the scope of what was going on.
I was wondering if you remember, you used to be on the fire.
And like I said, I just wanted to make sure I understood the scope of what this was.
Sure. When I first met you, you were in the fire.
That's right.
My comment is, this city is, for many years has been very good at kicking cans. And I don't want to wake up one day and we've got 10,000, 15,000 people in this town and somebody says, why come you kick that can when you was the mayor? And I don't have an answer.
See, I'm
I
worried
don't want to
about-
be that.
I'm worried about having schools here and not
Yes.
having adequate.
No, if it, like from what you described it, I think we should have done this years ago. Like I'm not saying we shouldn't do this. I think we should have already had this done a long time ago. I just, I think it's important that we understand what's going on and how we're going to move forward. Because we've talked about this several times, and I'm a big advocate of moving forward with getting this stuff going. So.
Right, and as I said, when we have our retreat, which I'll be sending an email, I think we're gonna try a date in June now to have that retreat, but when we have the retreat, that's one of the things I wanna focus on when we're talking about strategic planning, is we really need to start focusing on our long-range plan. We got a strategic plan, that's great, we still need to tweak that. But below your strategic plan, you need to have some long-range plans, and we've really needed one for quite some time now as it relates to fire service. We're starting to need one as it relates to law enforcement service, and we're about to need one as it relates to utilities, water, wastewater, long-range planning as well. So those are the things that I want us to focus on so that you guys can adopt some plans and give some direction so we have a plan. That's what we need right now. We don't have a plan. And as it relates to fire, this is going to help us hopefully put that plan together, and then we'll be able to have a discussion later this year as to what that plan will look like so that you can adopt a plan. And now I've got my marching orders, and I'll work with these gentlemen out here on figuring out how we start implementing the plan that you've adopted so that we can come back periodically and update you, or definitely every budget cycle, we'll be taking out the plans like I do right now, our strategic plan, and telling you this is what the plan calls for as it relates to fire or utilities or law enforcement.
Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the proposal from Advanced Selections for a joint regional deployment and integrity study with the city of Justin and authorizing the city administrator to execute all necessary documents.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
Mayor, council, thank y'all for y'all's continued support.
Thank you.
Chris, call me tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Give me a call tomorrow.
No, I don't want to hear from you. Every time I hear it from you, it costs me money. Just joking.
Mayor, council, thank you for having us.
Take care.
Receive, consider, and act on resolution 2026-05-01-189, updating the personal policy and procuring manual.
Mayor, it is my pleasure to turn this over to our city secretary, Susan Greenwood, to give the staff report on this.
Thank you, John. On May the 6th, 2024, the city council adopted the current personnel policy that we have currently. And in October of 2025, y'all remember as a result, certain provisions within our personnel policy and procedure manual has to be updated to reflect that change. And so I went through the employee manual and made sure that I struck everything out that had weekly and put bi-weekly in it. And while the operational change to a bi-weekly payroll system has already been implemented, these revisions are being presented to the council to ensure the policy record is clear, accurate, and transparent for employees, elected officials, and the public. So the specific revision pages are 24, updating it from weekly to bi-weekly, pages 67, 68, and 69, updating all certification pay language from weekly to bi-weekly. And there's no other changes to the personnel policy besides that. So, and with that, do y'all have any questions?
So essentially, this is just a update to something that wasn't updated before.
That's correct.
Administrative.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 202605-01-189, updating the personnel policy and procedure.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
F, receive, consider, and act on resolution 2605-02-190, adopting an internal control policy in municipal court, cash management, and disbursement controls.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm going to ask Cindy Greenwood, our city secretary, to give the staff presentation.
Thank you, General. The city of New Fairview currently utilizes standard financial practices for municipal court operations, cash handling, and disbursements. However, a formal consolidated internal control policy has not been adopted. Establishing a written policy strengthens financial oversight, promotes consistency, and ensures compliance with state guidance and best practices. The proposed internal control policy establishes standardized procedures and safeguards for municipal court operations and cash receipts, our daily balancing and reconciliations, our petty cash management, our check issuance, disbursements, and signature controls. The policy is designated to protect public funds, improve accuracy in financial reporting, and reduce the risk of fraud, waste, or misuse of funds. And staff recommends approval of the resolution. Do y'all have any questions about the policy?
Who's writing the policy?
I did. It's based on what we do here on a daily basis, like who approves invoices, who signs checks, who authorizes over a certain amount of limits. We do daily cash logs for Paradise Boy and the city of New Fairview. The cash gets checked every day in each drawer. So those type of policies, we don't have a formal procedure that we've ever signed. So those are the things that we need to have.
Because it mentioned state guidance, I wasn't sure if you had to write it or if you had to have legal write it.
We don't have to have legal write it, we just have to reflect the law in there.
I will tell you, this is also going to help us because if, you'll notice in the audit reports that you're given, the auditor usually has comments about the fact that we don't have an internal controls policy manual that we've adopted. Because an auditor is used to coming and looking at this, and then they'll turn around and ask us for, show me the month of December. It says you're supposed to, city manager's supposed to look at every month's invoices and sign it. So we're supposed to send them the month of December, and they want to look to make sure that I've got my signature on it. Because if we're not following this policy, then they're going to ding us for not following the policy, as opposed to right now, we're getting dinged because we don't have a policy. So that's one of the things we've had on our to-do list for some time, and luckily Susan was able to put this together. So once the council, and really the council doesn't need to adopt this, I just want you all to adopt it if you're familiar with it, because this truly is going to be a document that is going to have more transparency, more security, because it clearly states out how we handle our cash, how we handle our money. There's sometimes that the mayor signs for things, there's sometimes I sign for things, there's sometimes that she signs for things, but we have more than one set of eyes always looking. So you don't have one person doing an invoice and then writing the check and then moving the money and nobody else is looking at it. That's when sometimes you're susceptible to fraud. So the auditor is finally going to be happy that this fiscal year we approved a policy, but now I know what they're going to do. They're going to hold our feet to the fire and says, your policy says you do this, prove to me that you're doing this. And that's why I wanted her to be follow, whether it's municipal money, or whether it's petty cash money, or whether it's the thousands of dollars in checks that we get sometimes weekly from developers for different types of things that are owed to the city.
I would add, John and Susan have always had a policy, it's just never been written. Like John's been out with his surgery, everything that he would sign, Susan held for me to come by and sign a couple times a week to make sure that it was, the flow stayed the same, just my signature instead of John's. But no one person did two jobs. So we've always had a good policy, we just haven't had a written policy.
I think this is a very important matter, and as an aircraft mechanic, I have to do everything in accordance with a written, approved, certified document.
Right.
So, this is a must-have in my opinion. I like the way it's written, simple and understandable, easy to understand.
Any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 20260502190, adopting an internal control policy for municipal court cash management and distribution controls.
Do I have a second? All in motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes, unanimous. Mayor and council announcements, and then any announcements? Last calendar items.
So dinner this week, isn't it?
Huh?
So dinner this week, isn't there?
No.
You said the 12 for the photography, was that the question?
Yes.
Yes, May 12th at, 5 o'clock, okay. May 12th from 5 to 6:30, they'll be here.
Didn't the mayor go on a shoot this week?
No, it's next week.
I've been on the wrong day.
It is the,
So is this the summer we're gonna fix our blemishes?
No, do you need help? Because it's,
I believe it's the 13th.
Where's it at?
It'll be in the, I'll get back to you.
Last Wednesday, right?
Well, the PUA took the last Wednesday,
Oh.
so we moved ours. And I don't know, we might have canceled May because of graduation and,
I don't
well,
know,
so
I'll
I have
reach
to
out
double
to,
check.
I'll reach out to Mayor Holmes and
I
find
don't
out.
have anything.
I don't have anything either.
I think we might have canceled May.
I'm gonna shut it up.
Yeah, we would not be on a Tuesday. 'Cause-
well, no, but
Oh, Wednesday.
this one's, yeah.
Tomorrow, 6th of July,
Eat a taco.
yes. Tomorrow we are meeting here, John and I, with the Wise County Regional Water Planning. Just come back from the last PUA meeting I went to, they did not have New Fairview in the Wise County Regional Water Planning. They got $1 million from the federal government to plan water for Wise County, and New Fairview was not in their plan, they weren't even gonna talk to us. And I raised my hand and kind of let this little redheaded kid know about it, that we are the largest city by size, and, yeah, we have about 10,000 homes in plat right now, that we should be in the plan. He goes, oh, yeah, y'all were in the plan, and Doug Shaw was in the very back, and he sits on Regency Board, he stood up and said, no, sir, you do not have New Fairview on the plan, and you do not have Roland B in your plan, you have both of them grouped as Wise County other. So, with
I
that.
didn't even get a name.
So after that, he called the next day and to schedule a meeting to meet with us, and he scheduled one with Peter to meet with Peter also, so.
This
That's
is
tomorrow.
Kinley Horn.
Kenny Horn,
Engineering firm that was contracted by the Weiss County
it was, I don't remember, and they want to learn, they want to get to a point where they can do more with the city and, be involved in the city more and different things as they continue to do things and grow in their community. They want to invite us to be a part of that. At least the people that were here. And in fact, I got another thank you today from another resident that was here on Facebook. He sent me a thank you for coming and explaining to them. So, they were kind of misled about fire, misled about police.
Well, we don't provide fire protection for this,
Uh,
so we don't provide fire protection for this point. Wrong.
Well, we have a small section, but it's mainly Rome that provides fire protection for them there.
And it's both out of the kindness of the heart, because in the state of Texas, a MUD is responsible for contracting fire protection and paying for it. And they do not.
I think the county just dispatches them when they go over.
Yes.
They don't really ask any questions.
See, that's a big change that's happening in Denton County. Denton County now is requiring all MUDs to contract, but more importantly, you need to contract with the nearest fire service, not what was happening along the 380 corridor on the east side of Denton County, where you had some MUDs over there that were contracting with, say, Aubrey, which is way on the other side of 380, and actually one gentleman ended up dying of a heart attack because they didn't contract with Lil Elm. Lil Elm had a fire station almost directly across from the entrance to that subdivision, but they never got torn down. Aubrey's the one that got torn down. They had to fight the traffic hit over there. And so Denton County has now changed up the rules and is making every MUD now contract for service with a fire service closest to them. So it could be a city, it could be an ESD, or in Denton County's case, they might end up providing service directly at some point.
But, I guess that's all we got going for now. Nothing else. Next week has nothing on the calendar except pictures.
That's right, pictures, yeah. Let's take a little bit of a break.
Pioneers coming on good. Pioneer State's rocking along. They'll probably start. I talked to the lady that had she was at the 407 meeting in Justin last week. Asked her how, she still had cows on that place. She said, no, I had to remove them in April. So that means
Somebody's selling.
they're getting ready to, the sale should be going through and finalized, and they'll get started on Pioneer State. So she has the other 178 acres to the south, where she had to pull one of her cows off that property. So April 30th. And the speaking of 407, so 407 is planned to start at Bill Cook Road and go east. I thought they'd start east and come. They're gonna have a breakout project at 35, which they've already started. And then, but they're gonna start widening at Bill Cook and go to just the other side of 377.
That's strange that they would start at Bill Cook. Why wouldn't they just start at 287 and work their way?
That's exactly what it is. That's the question I asked. I mean, it's just like a city council meeting. They'll listen to you. They'll listen to you. They will not make any remarks, and they will not address you. You walk up to them, you address them, and name, address, and
Right.
no.
But just to be clear, when the mayor's saying they're starting at Bill Cook Road, it's the engineering and design. You're not gonna see orange barrels going up.
No, I understand that, but I mean,
But you're right, yes, they're starting at Bill Cook and they're working their way east. And the part that Justin is paying for is gonna be just on this side of Cleveland Gibbs, so it's gonna be in Northland.
Yes.
That's the part that Justin is covering with the county. But the actual cones, the actual dirt that you're seeing moving in orange barrels going up is at I-35W and 407. That's that mini breakout that they're going to widen underneath the bridge. And then you're gonna see them where they stop there, they're gonna go all the way to Cleveland Gibbs and widen to Cleveland Gibbs. Then they're gonna jump back to the west side and widen all the way to where 407 Barbecue is and do that. Then when they're done with that, then that's when they're gonna jump back and pick up where they left off at Cleveland Gibbs, going towards Bill Cook Road, before they jump back over to the other side and pick up where they left off at 407, going out to Bartonville. And then when they're done with that, then they're gonna pick up over here Bill
still has lots of problems, I don't know. Like when it gets to Bill Cook, it's just gonna go from 4 lanes and a turn lane to nothing right at that, interstate development that's in that corner. It's just a single street. And those people are scared they're just gonna dump them into their driveway and got no place to go on it. I already had an accident there 2 weeks ago, fatality accident there at their entrance.
Well, there's a good chance a lot of those plans are gonna have to change.
That's Avery Ranch is the neighborhood over there.
There's, six families that have to be displaced. 5 of them have already been displaced. But TxDOT butchered that deal. There was a lady there that was one of those homeowners that was complaining. TxDOT bought her home, and the easement, because the easement was in the middle of the house, and they stopped like 10 foot from her house, and now she still has almost a half an acre that she can't access, that she still pays tax on, and she can't sell because nobody wants to buy, because nobody knows what TxDOT's gonna do. So she's just pouring money into this property because it's not ag-exempt anymore, it's half acre of property that's not accessible, and she's paying a ton of taxes on it.
Man, why didn't she negotiate and sell back in Texas?
I would have said,
They did,
check it
all
all.
5 of them, that's what they did. They left them, all 5 of them have a strip that they still own. Because they took, it'll be worth a lot of money once the road's built.
Yeah.
That's why you have a lot of abandoned property along I-35E between Denton and Farmers Branch, because TxDOT only takes what they need, and whatever's left over, they just leave it to you to deal with.
So she was,
Well, I don't want to hear about it.
she was not happy, and financially it was not good for her, so. But that's continues to go, and maybe we'll see something in our lifetime.
Do we have an update on the people that we found dumping at the Triangle?
Yeah, so we have identified the company, in fact, Joshua has reached out to them, and they've agreed that they're gonna come and remove some of that debris. They already removed what they dumped, but they're gonna remove some more of the debris. Was it last week we ran into them up there at the Triangle? Yeah, so actually last week when Josh was coming into work, he saw people standing out there taking pictures. It turned out it's the lady that, was in charge of the trust that owns that property. She informed Joshua that she has since dissolved the trust because the only people left alive are her and her brother. So they divvied up the properties, and I guess she ended up with that triangular piece. And she wants to dedicate that to the city.
Okay.
So I'm in the process right now of writing a letter to get her permission for us to come on the property so that we can do mids and bounds. And then I want to have an executive session discussion with the council to see if you guys are interested in us proceeding forward and acquiring that property. And then if that's the case, then it's going to be on us to pay for all of that, which we have in the budget. I think Joshua and I put in $10,000 for us to be able to cover that and hopefully help us cover the removal of the debris, because the exchange is she's going to give us the land, but she's also not going to remove any of that stuff. So we have the ability to do that, so we'll take care of that. And then more importantly, at some point here, we'll have to have a discussion about what we would like that green space to look like so we can work with the Keaton Fairview Beautiful Committee. I'm hoping the council decides we don't want to turn it into a park. There's all kinds of reasons why you want to do that, but I don't want to get into right now. But,
Because it's surrounded by road.
well, true, but.
Some people don't make that turn all the way, and they end up.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of opportunities for us, and we're finally gonna be able to have a nice green space at the entry point to our community, but we still have some steps before we can get there.
But the guy you called dumping has picked up the stuff he dumped.
We did pick up the stuff he dumped. Since that time, we've caught another company dumping, and they're already, code enforcement's already reaching out to them saying, hey,
Good job.
we got the pictures, oh, by the way, you need to come out here and take care of all of this, or else
see when you're coming down County Line Road, you're at that stop sign. It's so piled up, it's hard to see, like,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, well, bear with us, because I think we're finally getting to a point where we're gonna be able to start getting rid of that stuff and be able to acquire that. And see, here's the other interesting thing, we were just talking about 407 realignment. I don't know if you remember, but 407